I heard you were crazy. I didn't think you were stupid. Bruce Wayne.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdettes NewsStand, and today we're going to talk a little bit about secret or public identities, right? So secret identities have been around in a long time in comics, right? Superman has Clark Kent, Batman has Bruce Wayne, Wonder Woman has Diana Prince, but are secret identities an outdated concept? Actually, let me know in the comments down below if you were a superhero, if you would have a secret identity, or if you would just be like, hey, everybody, look, I'm Super Tristan. Terrible superhero name. Anyways, so most besides Spidey and Marvel don't actually have secret identities, but of those three I mentioned before, the Holy Trinity, only two have kept their identities to this day. So DC fully uses the idea of the secret identity, and one could also argue that a secret identity could turn a hero real quick into a villain. Someone with a mask and a hidden identity could take full advantage of a situation that a person without a mask could not. But before we go any further, let's get some terms straight here, right? So, because I don't want to go into extremes, outing yourself at a press conference like we seen Iron Man do, or more recently Punchline, that counts as a public identity. A few people knowing that you're Bruce Wayne Batman because they go into your Batcave, or because Lois knows that Clark is Superman because they're married, that's still a secret identity. That's just a few close to you. So, secret identities have been a staple of superhero comics, more or less, besides maybe the Fantastic Four, who really didn't bother with them, right? But lately it seems people have started to kind of mock the idea of a secret identity, or do what they can to kind of get rid of them. I personally think that's a stupid idea, but that doesn't mean some aspects of a secret identity aren't a little dated, right? So we're going to talk pros and cons of a secret identity, as well as should they be continued use. So let's talk about pros. Now, the most obvious pro is it keeps you and those you care about safe, right? If the bad guys don't know who you are under the mask, they won't retaliate for you foiling their plans. Nor will they go after your loved ones, or do the whole strike at the hero's heart to really hurt them type plan, right? We see that a lot in Spiderman. Now, this doesn't protect those who are clearly close to your superhero identity, like Lois Lane to Superman. But there are a few others, but usually those people can either handle themselves, like Jim Gordon and Lois Lane, or the villain kidnaps them, nothing more. Now, we have seen that taken to a little bit of extremes when it comes to the likes of Killing Joke with Jim Gordon, right? So now, why do some heroes not need to worry about this? Well, many, such as the Fantastic Four, again, all of their loved ones have abilities or are intelligent enough to handle themselves. Or in Wonder Woman's case, once they dropped the identity aspect, Steve and Etta were military, and the rest of her loved ones were simply Amazonians. What few normal people she knew, she had already met as Wonder Woman. So people knew that they were connected already, right? There's really no need for it. So it also keeps the hero from that like 24/7 on all the time superhero type. In other words, it keeps their humanity and keeps them grounded. This is more important actually than most people think. It helps because it allows the hero to take an actual break, worry about real life, worry about relationships. There's a whole bunch of things they can do by not being on 24/7, right? A hero that is on all the time may mean they can get more done, but it also means they will just start looking at the superhero problems as a hero and eventually lose focus on what the normal people think. This usually leads to a hero who starts to kind of look at the bigger picture and think, I know what's best for them, right? It's a big reason why Clark Kent has been so important to Superman. Look at an example of Kingdom Come. Superman made it clear he hadn't been Clark Kent since Lois Lane died, and he lost his perspective so badly that it led to the actions he did during the climax of that story, right? So now this isn't always required for all heroes. Wonder Woman, without the identity, due to the type of person she is, and when not written as that warrior princess, make sure she focuses on both saving the world and helping humanity, and tries her hardest to keep both perspectives. The problem arises when the writer comes on and forgets that and throws it out the window and then decides to fix it by giving her a human identity. And as much as a Jeff Johns fangirl I am, sadly, this is one of his few missteps. Now, someone like Batman is a very, very important example when talking about this. He's a case where you need that fine line between Batman and Bruce Wayne. Now, most people kind of say, but Batman is the real guy, right? Bruce is the disguise. No, that's actually not true. I'm of the belief that Superman and Batman are both of three different identities. You have the hero, you have the disguise, like Clark when he's at the planet, Bruce when he's out in public, and then you have the third identity, the real man, Clark when he's with Lois, John, or his parents, and Bruce when he's in the cave with Nightwing or Barbara or anybody of that sort. Now, Barbara, she's had things kind of work both ways, right? Having her father not know, and while she's Batgirl, gives us a lot of the usual, like, we can't let him know the truth style drama, right? And especially when James Jr. comes in, we just seen that in Cecil Castellucci runs. How can she talk to her father about it without spilling the beans about her identity? Spoiler for Joker number 2, he already knew. That being said, there is a reason why so many writers these days are more likely to at least hint that Gordon knows who the Bat family is, or at least have a good theory on who they are. Let's be real. First off, he's that good of a detective. Granted, when Gail Simone revealed the truth to him, he figured out she was Batgirl already, but he was actually floored that she was Oracle too, right? So having Gordon know the truth, I don't think it hurts anything. He's able to handle himself, and it's not like Babs has that really many goons, right? That would go after Jim because of his position and because of his ties to the Bat family. Now, Superman has found that balance between the three. Batman has to learn to keep that balance. If he becomes too much Bruce Wayne, he'll compromise Batman, and he'll make him too trustworthy or not too hard-edged enough to do the job, right? But if then, on the other side, he becomes too much Batman, then he loses, he has too much compassion, and he needs that sanity, right? It's why, after the death of Jason, or everything basically leading up to Infinite Crisis, he became more brutal, more paranoid. He was not in that balance anymore. Then, when it comes to other heroes, it kind of varies, right? Spider-Man needs Peter Parker to keep him humble. That was a big part of the Nick Spencer's run, right? Without Peter, Spidey is a thrill seeker of the worst kind. Also with Hawk. Of course, Hawk needs Bruce Banner. Banner keeps Hawk in check. The only way you can have the Hawk be the Hawk all the time is if Banner's brain is, of course, in the equation. And I'll go into other examples later, but another reason is it's something legally, it's a good idea to keep your two lives separate, much like Bruce Wayne or Matt Murdock are really two good examples of, right? If their identities were exposed, they would risk serious legal issues or lose their business entirely. I mean, Matt Murdock cannot be a lawyer anymore. if people know he's also going around, beating up the crooks as Daredevil. I don't think that's going to work. So Tony Stark, however, seems to be one of the exceptions, though, because he's gone back and forth between a secret identity and keeping it public. He kind of puts that genie back in the bottle a few times, right? And there are sometimes other smaller reasons to keep the mask on, but for the most part, I would say these are the most common. So let's talk about the cons of the situation. Obviously, one of the bigger cons is simple. We have seen it explored in Cadmus, right? In DC Comics, being captured and experimented upon. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants that. Not to mention the legalities of vigilante justice issues, basic logical arguments about how would they get health insurance or a paycheck. That's actually come up quite a bit with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but interference with one's personal life. Also, this can vary, of course, from a mild annoyance, so to being more detrimental to their life. So many times the hero has run off and made excuses, or they miss their appointments, or they miss their dates or holidays, and it's always been a regular story beat that writers use. These days, it seems more and more just used to make the hero's life miserable than it does to actually create good stories. It's become sort of a cliche because a lot of writers don't go anywhere beyond, you're late again, why do I put up with you, that kind of thing, right? So some writers will use it in clever ways, like the Batman, because most people see Bruce Wayne as a playboy. Most won't actually take him seriously then, right? Sometimes, a lot of times, this can be used to his advantage. But one time specifically, it did royally bite him in the ass, right? During No Man's Land, because no one would take him seriously when he was trying to get help for Gotham. Now, another con is just trying to find the balance of the two lives. This mostly applies to those who use Spiderman specifically as their inspiration of having it be difficult to find that balance. That's the thing here. A lot of these cons depend less on them being legitimate cons and more on how the writer handles things. So, what about the most simple answer? When villains know the person behind the mask, they can simply go to Google, find everything they need to know, including your address and all your friends and all your family and your place of employment, all your socials. Yeah, basically everything. Not to mention, it's not just them that can do it. The paparazzi could do the exact same thing. And there really aren't that many cons that are legitimate beyond the writer's own personal opinions or what they want to do with the character. That's the key thing. A lot of people who dislike secret identities are usually the ones who don't want to bother writing a civilian life or just want them to be heroes 24/7 and don't see any of the issues I literally just talked about. So now there are small criticisms towards a secret identity, of course, keeping all your friends and loved ones from knowing. That has become kind of tired and played out, unless telling them will put their own life in danger, like telling Gordon the truth about Batman, or they can't keep a secret to save their lives. There are people like that. Any other reason to not tell family or friends seems more like excuses, right? The best example of someone who actually found the perfect balance is Jaime Reyes as Blue Beetle. He let his friends and family know right off the bat, right away. And after some adjustments to the news, they actually helped out. They became very strong supporting characters. In fact, they actually became this awesome little family by the end of the run, right? And it got to the point where when New 52 hit, the writer had to force Jamie to keep it a secret, and no one like that, because it felt like they were removing one of those special things that made Jaime and his story so good. Now, of course, this can't apply to everyone. Batman can't tell all of Bruce's new girlfriend's secrets. And honestly, why should he? Deep down, he knows that those relationships won't last. But look how comfortable Batman is with the Bat family. All these people know the truth, and he can talk open with them and he can get help. It's perfect. Now, look how Spider-Man is when he has so few people who know. He was his best during the JMS run when his aunt knew, he was married to MJ, the Avengers knew, Black Cat knew, etc., etc. It was when the whole world knew that it actually then became a problem. So yeah, there aren't a whole lot of real cons to his secret identity that hasn't been played out to death. There has become, annoyances and how far the writers will go to keep that secret so limited. And to those that want to get rid of it, Bendis, they don't want to write the civilian side or what? I'm just confused why people would do that. So if you're not going to write, the civilian side, then just don't write that side of them. You don't have to focus on that part of their life, the civilian life, but don't get rid of it either. Plain and simple. Anyways, let me know in the comments below if you're against or for secret identities in superhero comics, just because I'm 100% for it. But I'm curious to see what you guys think. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.